Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. There's a segment of the Muslim community that doesn't like me, and I guess that's expected. I'm a divorce attorney. I represent men, women who are accused of cheating or abuse or other things, and maybe they're not even accused of anything, but simply just being a representative of the other side. There's an emotional reaction to that, although logically it doesn't really make sense, but we're human beings and we're not necessarily always logical. But the feedback that I get or the attacks that I get is based off the fact that I represent men, typically, who are quote unquote abusers or quote unquote have other issues that they don't appreciate. And what ends up happening is that people say, how could you represent so and so person who abused their wife or who did XYZ to their wife or to their kids? And the problem is that we're only hearing one side of the story. And if you understood, or if we understood how the court system worked, right, where you have two individuals who are both presenting their case and then a judge is making a decision, my job is to make my client's case, right? Whether they're guilty, not guilty, whether they're right or wrong. Unfortunately, that's the way that the job works. And so my job is to put forth their position, and the judge is the one who decides. So if at the end of the day, the judge decides that this guy can see his kids, it's not me. It's because the facts of the case show otherwise. Or maybe the facts of the case show that this person is totally lying or they're making something up. And the other thing that's very interesting is that these stories get spread. We only hear one side of the story, and then we make up our conclusions. Trials should not be done on social media. Trials should not be done on WhatsApp. Trials should be done in a formal setting. And we need to make sure that if we're talking about justice and being just people, that we have to make sure that we go through those processes. And the reality is that many of these cases, many of these people who talk about their husband or talk about the fact that, or even their wife, or talk about me representing the other side, they don't realize that these cases are public cases. And people can look into it, and many of the reports that are issued are also public and not confidential. And so I think that we have to mature as a community, understand that, again, I'm not asking anyone to like me or anything like that. I understand that it's an emotional process, and, I put myself in a bad position. But at the same time, what I'm saying to the community is be careful what you hear or listen to from somebody going through a court case, because again, you're only hearing one side of the story, not the other side of the story. If I was able to talk about my cases and actually, defend my client or, say what I had to say, I'm sure that things would be very different. We're so used to the black and white, evil and good, that we don't realize that human beings are neither evil nor good. We're gray. We're working towards being good. We have some bad in us. We have some good in us. And, the situation is going to be great. There's not going to be any black and white. There's usually not one party's fault or the other party's fault. And I hope, inshallah, that we mature, that we're able to separate our emotions and understand that this is a process. I hope that we can divorce better, and I hope that, we can look at me as, somebody who's just doing his job, going through these things. And, whether it's a man or a woman, I represent both men and women, and women who we might think is wrong, or a man who we may think is wrong. But if I don't represent them, some other person is going to represent them. Someone else who doesn't care about Islam, someone who doesn't care about that person, someone whose only intention is to get as much money out of these individuals as possible. And so if we want to encourage Muslims to get divorced within the Muslim community, I don't believe that this disparagement and, immature reality in view of how the legal system works is really going to get us anywhere. So, I just wanted to share my thoughts. Been getting a lot of indirect messages from people that I thought that, they know me, or they know of me, they know of my family. And for some reason I became a woman hater because I represent men, right? And it's funny because, like I said, I represent both men and women. Anyways, this is becoming a circular rant. If there's any comments or if you have any problems with me, please feel free to contact me directly. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.